This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Configuring a thermostat temperature controller, getting different SRMs from the same recipe, and is it worth the money to upgrade to stainless steel fermenters? This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 431. Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friend, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com and use that submit a question link at the top of the page. Even better, call it in. Leave a voicemail to 325-305-6107. When I use your voicemail on a future episode, you get yourself a gift card to kegconnection.com. It does not get much better than that. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing, joined as always by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com, Mr. James Carlson, and the President and Chief Keg Washer of Keg Connection LLC, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, hello. Y'all were recently, I say recently, we didn't actually push back that much. I thought you were in Stephenville when you called me, and I was gonna be like, oh God, waiting here for
a lot of road construction.
But y'all were visiting.
They keep shutting the highway down. They shut it down on the way there and on the way back, so we were sitting there for like 30, 40 minutes.
Oh, you don't got to
We thought
yourself.
we had plenty of time.
No, whatever. I was an afterthought.
You seem really upset.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Well, no, just, hey, here's the thing on the schedule, on the calendar. I confirmed with you this morning. You're good to do it today. Yeah, absolutely. No problem at all.
To be fair, we were drinking and we lost track of time. I don't think that's not really our
Every
fault.
time you're late, alcohol is involved. Every time. Every time.
Feel like we're really responsible for that.
Every time. Now I'll give listeners, if y'all have forgotten, because I'm not sure how much we've actually talked about it. We're gonna have the head brewer for sure on the show, and we're gonna be doing some CM Becker content with them, the owner of this place. But is it Bosk or Bosky? I don't know how to pronounce it.
I thought it was Boss.
It's Bosky.
Okay, thank you.
I thought Bosque was that term for the region in Spain. I thought that's what it was.
Dude, I have no idea. That's
No,
why I
it's
asked.
always been Bosky.
What does Bosque stand for?
It's the river, the Bosky River.
Oh, they just pronounce it wrong. That's
yeah. Trub Club, Troop Club, same. Yeah. But the Bosky River Tap House in Stephenville, Texas, CM Becker, faucets. I'm trying to remember how to present it. We did an install there, and by we, Todd and James, and I filmed some of it. They did an install there with CM Becker faucets, a 16 tap tower. They're not open yet, though, right? As of today, May the 14th, they're not open till the 21st? Or no, pardon me, not 21st. They're open Monday, aren't they? Of this coming week? Their actual soft
they're
launch?
open.
Oh, they're open. Oh, okay. Is that
we went and had lunch. We went to go have lunch.
Oh, I didn't realize that you ate there too. So they're open. How is the system?
Yeah,
poured?
so they told us that the system was great. I mean, the main reason we went there is we wanted to see how things were going and all that. As we were walking in the door, the owner was walking in, and I said, "Hey, Sean, how you doing?" He's like, "I'm really tired. I was there till midnight last night." So what happened? Because I had talked to somebody else, and they had gone in for lunch, and there weren't a lot of people in there that first day. So I was like, "Oh, I hope everything's good." He said they had 400 tickets last night, like 1,600 people.
Oh my gosh!
Crazy.
That's fantastic.
That's a crazy number for any restaurant.
What an
it was
incredible.
pretty busy at lunch too. I noticed we were the only ones that ordered a beer, though. That's kind of funny.
Well, you remember the head brewer? He was brewing at a different location. I mean, of the same beer.
Yeah.
Is he caught up yet, or is he still brew?
Oh, no, he's brewing like crazy. But he was actually working on equipment, but he said that he had brewed, I think, the day before or 2 days ago. No, it must have been 2 days ago because somebody else I talked to said that they had asked him, and he said it was bubbling. So he had just finished brewing, and it was starting to ferment.
Now, James, in the bigger picture of installs, the way y'all did it was integration with, as they were building this brand new build. Is that the ideal way to as an installer or a company that supports installers, is that like the ideal scenario? Get in while it's being built so things can be run easier as opposed to an existing building being converted into some kind of tap house or a bar?
I don't know. I mean, it is, unless you have to pull the trunk line and then you've got brand new drywall and everything.
It was nice because we put the whole trunk line in before they put all the finish on, so that was really nice.
Yeah, but if for some reason we have to change out that trunk line, I don't know why we ever would, but you'd have to tear up drywall, just get to it and remove it. But
yeah,
it was a little more difficult than the one that we did before that, but it wasn't bad. It really works well.
I say it turned out.
One of the reasons I think what made it difficult too was the one we did before locally that was a long draw. You never actually went into the public area at all with the trunk line, so you just went into the back wall, but it was all restaurant space, so it didn't matter what it looked like. Whereas with this one, it went more than half of the trunk line was in public space, so it had to be well hidden. So,
oh wow, yeah. No, I was only in it for that one day, the new install, and super nice
but
facility.
You worked hard though. I
worked very hard, but no, it's a very nice setup. I mean, obviously the draft system, I can talk it up all day, but the brewery area, the restaurant area, I mean, it's all very nice. They did a good job. Not knocking Stephenville, Texas. I'm just saying, you would think this. How many people live in Stephenville? Is there even 50,000 people there?
Yeah, I think
depends on when the college
students.
Oh, that's right. If you count the college kids, right? Yeah. Where I was going with it is it is an exceptional build regardless of the city it's in. And I'm just saying, like, seeing that building and the whole setup in Stephenville is like, wow, someone poured a lot of money into Stephenville. So I hope they do well because it is extremely nice. Like, I really like the facility. I will say they had something where it's not shared bathroom, but it's like bathroom stalls and then, or like individual closed doors, but then a shared washing area for everyone's hands. I'd be interested to see how that goes. That's very 2025. I don't know. I haven't seen that much lately, but I'm digressing. Y'all could go to Stephenville, Texas.
Oh. I looked it up, and they say there's 20,000 people, but there's 15,000 students, so it's still under 50.
Yeah, 20
It's
plus.
smaller than brownwood. It always seems bigger than brownwood to me. Huh.
Oh, see, I assumed it was
always thought that
bigger.
too.
Oh.
Well, brownwood early's bigger. I guess brownwood by itself would be a little smaller, but not much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Anyway,
idea.
nobody cares.
Nobody
Nobody lives here.
cares.
They don't care.
Everybody already got off the podcast. We're done. But so what a great time to segue. And y'all haven't been here for when I do a lot of the guest interviews. I've been making record times, and I'm going to try to do a record time with y'all too. Get through this small talk very quick. So friends, go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Join a recipe receiving tier. You're going to get the delicious Dusseldorf Alt beer shipped to your house at the end of the month. Premium ingredients provided by Munton's Malt, Hopstrat.com, and of course, Imperial Yeast. I promise you guys, you will not be disappointed with this kit. It is one of my favorites, and selfishly, I wanted to do it now so that I could have plenty of time to cold condition my beer and have it for my 40th birthday in November. So again, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Come brew with us. Oh, what was that, Todd?
Whoa. What are we doing for your 40th birthday, by the way?
I'm drinking Kolsch and Alt is what I'm doing.
Are you having a get together? Or?
I haven't decided anything yet because
We could do a get together at the barn.
that would be great. I would like that.
You could have your let me see what day is your birthday?
It's November 2nd. This year,
it's in my calendar, but I'd have to actually look in my calendar.
This year it's on a Sunday, November the 2nd. And my wife.
Oh, yeah, you're totally screwed. That's opening weekend.
Yeah, that's why I was waiting for you to put 2 and 2. That's why I missed last year because birthdays fell on a weekend. My wife's is the day before mine. So I couldn't I don't mind going to opening weekend for my, at that time of the year, but my wife does when it's her birthday. But anyway, Dusseldorf Alt beer, yeah, and then Kolsch Cup is what I wanted to bring up. It obviously registration, all that's done, but come join the fun, guys. We're going to be recording for sure on the 30th of this month. Now, if I can live stream, I'm going to. Otherwise, look for the video on youtube.com/homebrew happy hour the day after, Saturday the 31st. So Kolsch Cup is coming up. Entries, I've been told by our shipping lead there at headquarters, they've been pouring in already. So that's a good sign. I believe we have total, let me pull it up real quick. We have 28 people who signed up and paid. We'll see how many arrive, but 28, it's a pretty good number for Kolsch Cup 2025. All the fun again over at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour on Friday, May the 30th, or worst case, it'll be published May the 31st. I think that's all the small talk. That was like 3 minutes, but that was
good.
I know. I'm getting better, guys. I promise. I used to not mind wasting y'all's time, but then when I had guests on, it's just us. I could see it in their face, and I'm like, oh, it hurts more. And when it's your guys' faces, I'm used to it, but other people's faces.
But what about our listeners?
You know what? I don't get the feedback. Anyways, so that all of that.
Everybody complain if he's going on
could
too
you please
long.
complain?
But complaining will help a lot.
With all that being said, we do have 3 great questions for this week's show, starting with a text message from our buddy Jeremy T. He wrote me, "Is this Josh?" Those are my favorites that start like that. Yes, it is, Jeremy. "I have a question for the pod. I bought an Inkbird 308 for a teaser that I'll be building this summer. I received it and was curious what you recommend for the temperature difference value. If I want my teaser to stick around 36, should I make the difference value a plus or minus 1, or is that too strict? Any recommendations from you all?" We all have teaser building experience. Todd, I'll throw it to you because you have the most. You are my go-to for information on teaser building and all that. I've set mine at a differential of 3 degrees, but I don't know why. I don't know if that was the default or what, but 3 has been working for me. I have it at 36. I'm not worried about my garage ever going down to 33. And if it goes up to 39, it's going to start cooling again, and I'm not worried about foam at 39. But what do you think in regards to setting up a thermostat temperature controller?
Well, what I like to do is set it at 36, and then when I open the door, I throw the probe outside of the keezer, and it works really well. So I've done it like 3 times in the last year. So yeah.
Tell the good people at home what that does.
Freezes the keg solid. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I usually keep mine at 37, and I have 2 degrees difference. And it seems to work pretty good. When I was keeping it at 36, I had to kind of freeze the bottom up quite a few times. One of the problems with a Keyser, it's not a huge problem, but a little bit of a problem is there's a huge difference in temperature depending on what part you're in. So if you put your probe on the bottom, it'll be a lot colder down there than it is on the top. So I try to keep mine in the middle, but I've noticed if it falls down to the bottom, my beers will warm up too much. And if I have it too far at the top, sometimes I've, like partially frozen, or especially the sparkling water, I'll freeze the sparkling water a little bit.
Well, how do you keep your probe? So wait, you have the probe going through, and it's just dangling. Interesting. James, do you have a teaser? I forget if yours is a teaser or an.
No, I've got just a fridge.
Okay, but so you don't have to have a thermostat adjuster.
I've got my beer in the fridge side of that.
I wonder if when I got I am not the victim, the benefactor of a lot of information, and because I'm perpetually online and posting stuff. When I got the chest freezer and I was doing everything, I originally had it dangling, and someone messaged me, or no, they commented on the Homebrew Happy Hour post and said, "Hey, here's what you should do. You should put the thing, get a pint glass of water, put it on that little step that my chest freezer happens to have, and put the probe in that." Okay, so I did that. Then, like a day later, someone comments to that person, no, dummy. You don't just put it in that. What you do is put a koozie around that pint glass of water and put the probe between the koozie and the glass. If y'all can visualize that, right? Like the koozie.
Yeah, I've actually done the thing where it's in the pint water.
Well, so I took it out of the water, put it in between the koozie and my pint glass. Lo and behold, it seems to be working good. Is that overkill? Could I have just been letting it dangle this whole time?
I did it for a while in the water, and I don't know. I was pulling it out, and said it didn't seem to make any difference, so I just let it dangle now. I am pretty good now about always checking it, because third time's a charm. When you freeze all your kegs the third time, you tend to check, wow, we just got bombed.
Oh, the sonic boom? Those terrify me every time.
All the stuff hanging on my wall just started shaking. I thought it was the big one, but no, we're good, I think.
What
see any bright lights?
What Air Force base is that, James, that they're coming from?
It's the one where they build I can't think of it. It's in Fort Worth. That's also where they're building the F-35.
Yeah.
And they come over and they do simulated bomb runs on the lake.
Yeah.
Next to
and they go sonic boom. It scares the heck out of me every time I'm up there doing recipes or whatever. And I jump. I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit it terrifies me. Like,
it's loud, yeah,
so loud. Anyway, though, yeah. So this is a good one that people will probably write in regards to how the dongle needs to be, because everyone has an opinion and everyone's opinion is right. Just ask them. But regarding the temperature differential, do you have a strong opinion on it, James? Do you think +2, +3 is a ballpark?
1 degree is too quick.
Yeah.
What happens is your your compressor cycling off and on to try to maintain that's too narrow of a window of temperature, and it's going to be hard on the compressor because it's going to be tick-tocking on and off more than it would be at a 2 or 3 degree. So I always tell people, when you're dealing with a temperature controller, you have a differential from on and off or high and low temp. Just don't make it so narrow that algorithm that controller uses what it does is it anticipates a ramp up on temperature up and down, and it tries to anticipate when it needs to come on and come off. So keeping it at 2 to 3 degrees is going to be a lot easier on your compressor, and you're going to get a lot longer lifespan out of that than you would if you tried to tighten it into like 1 degree.
And I always wonder if circumstances matter, because like I kind of mentioned earlier, in a garage in Central Texas, the minus really is not even. My garage will probably never get to the -3 part. I have it at 36 and a 3 degree plus or minus. I don't think my garage is ever getting to 33. Right? It would be one time a year, literally one day, maybe. If even then, I have space heaters in my garage when I have to, but it's the plus. Todd, what is it, the differential when we need to start worrying about foam Like if you took
30, anything over 38.
okay, that's yeah. So he could go to 35 or 36 and put it at the +2, +3, and then boom. Not really
Yeah,
have
but
to,
I mean 35. I mean you're talking about
then freezing. You're right.
+3.
Sorry.
You could get into freezing range. So
37
the
+2.
problem you have to worry about is, would beer freeze at 32? No, but it's going to get colder than 32 because on a Keyser you're going to have variations. So at the bottom it may get down to 28, and then you could start having a problem. So
That's a good
Yeah, and
point.
you got to think also that if you've got your probe in the center, like on Todd's, he's got 6 taps. He's throwing it in the center. Well, it's cooling from the walls towards the
yeah,
center of the kegerator. So if you've got it too cold, it is possible that you could start to freeze the outside, the perimeter kegs that are
Oh, that's a good
next to
point.
the walls.
Yeah.
And so it's just,
yeah. Mine always has water on the bottom because it condensates, and or I don't for whatever reason it always gets water on the bottom. One of these days it's just going to rust out, I'm sure. But I've actually taken all the kegs out twice, osphoed it, stripped it, and repainted it, and it just rusts and the paint falls off again. So it's kind of a battle. But I've had it a long time and it still works fine, so I don't overly worry about it. And when it gets a little water on the bottom, I actually took the plug out, so if it gets too much, it'll drain out a little bit, but that almost never happens.
It is
Most of the time, the water on the bottom is frozen, though.
it's like the 5-year anniversary of your Keyser, because didn't you build it right before we did the 2020 presentation for HomebrewCon?
Yeah, it was right in the middle of COVID, right?
It was.
However long ago COVID was.
It was, yeah. Which, by the way, friends, y'all can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Homebrew Happy Hour, and watch that teaser presentation. You don't have to watch the entire thing. Most people.
Oh, no, you want to watch the whole thing. It's fascinating.
Most people.
The best hour of your time you will ever spend watching that.
Most people, because I published the whole thing, and then I published just the part where you talk about your build. That one has exponentially more views than the full presentation does.
No, the full presentation is what you want to watch. It's an hour of me going blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
But yeah,
blah, blah.
or if you're an AHA member, I believe it's still in their database. I know our San Diego one is, but I did not get. See, I was smart back then in 2020. I was like, hey, we want to do this presentation, but can I record it locally and publish it? Yeah, you just wait a while before you publish. Fine. They wouldn't let me record our San Diego one because I was like, we'd put all this work in. Can I just set up my own camera and audio stuff? And they're like, no, we don't really do that. Okay, whatever. But anyways, the AHA, they're still great, but they just don't let me do what I want to do. It sounds a lot like a lot of people in my life. But Jeremy, thank you so much for.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you, Jeremy, for submitting that question. Reminder, friends. Well, first off, if you have any feedback or comments and you're watching at youtube.com/Homebrew Happy Hour, leave them in the comments below. While you're here, smash that like button, all that stuff that YouTubers are supposed to say, because it actually does help us in the algorithm, and we greatly appreciate it. Moving on to our second question of the show. It is a voicemail, and it is our buddy Christian from Ohio.
Hey guys, Christian from Ohio here. My question is hopefully simple. In short, I'm wondering if recirculating your mash affects your SRM or your Keller in any way. Basically what happened to me was did the same malt beer recipe twice. First time it came out in that exact Keller supposed to be, that copper Keller. Had my pump go on recirculation basically into a brew in a bag all-in-one system, basically is what I'm brewing on. My pump broke the next time I did it. So I did everything the old school way, the typical old school brew in the bag, everything manual, did an immersion chiller instead of a copper or counterflow chiller. So basically the difference was same recipe, but my Keller turned out a little lighter, more like a pale ale. Everything was the same except for just not using a pump for recirculation, and then the immersion chiller versus the counterflow chiller. So could that one difference of not having my pump affect my Keller? It's as simple as that. Just with the recirculation. If you can answer that, that'd be great. If you're unsure, then man, I'm at a loss for words because it still tastes great, but it's just odd that the Keller is different. Hey, thanks guys. You always give good advice, and appreciate the show. Thank you,
Christian. Thank you so much for the call.
Oh, I want to answer it first.
Okay,
before you turn it to James. Here you go. I have no idea.
He shoulder shrugged for those audio only listeners. Well, and I really was going to throw it to James first for two reasons. One, because I trust his information more, but it reminds me of the blondest alt. Do you think is it possible he forgot some grains? Because how could the recirculation affect the SRM as much as he's saying?
The only thing that comes to mind on that is the fact that all the wort is hitting the element when it's recirculating. So it could affect the SRM or the color, because heat can do that. For the most part, that basic recipe should have the same color. But if you've got the bottom of the mash, the wort in there hitting the element and it's radiating up without any, of course, I imagine he's going to stir that every now and then without having recirculation. You definitely want to. But I think maybe the fact that that's static and it's not, even though we do have temperature, one of the reasons why we have recirculation on our brow tide on the HLT is because if you take measurements from the very bottom where the element is all the way to the top, you're going to have a temperature differential. From the bottom, it's going to be warmer at the bottom and cooler at the top. So we have a pump recirculating that so that it always stays the same, whether it's at the top or at the bottom. But with doing a brew in a bag, you're just sitting there and that ambient tea, and now I know you're stirring it, but you've got all that mash water that's sitting there static. It's not moving around. So maybe the fact that if you do recirculation, you're moving all of that over that heating element in that warmer area, and it could affect color. That's the only thing I could think of. Or you forgot the color.
The specialty grains
that make that, the roasted malts
that was all. Yeah, I'm glad you
color.
had a natural explanation that was beyond just my very lazy. I think you forgot something, because that's all I could think of. And because it remind, like I said, your blonde alt tasted exactly like your normal alts. To a T. If you did a blind taste test, and which one was missing, whatever, I don't think most people would be able to have tell. But so that's no, if taste isn't an issue and all that, that's what makes me think that. But the heat thing, that is interesting. SRM.
It's hard. I'll tell you, it's hard to get darker color without adding bitterness to the beer. And so we were lucky enough to be able to get a hold of a debittered dark malt. And that's the Carafa 1, 2, and 3. And I believe that's right. And they have some that have a really high lovey bond, but it's debittered, so it doesn't translate into affecting the way the beer tastes. So that's anytime I want to try to add darker color, I'll try to use debittered malt because it makes a huge difference in the way it tastes.
And is there any, what's the latest style that you've brewed and thought, it could benefit from? Is it just an aesthetic? If when you look after the fact and go, man, that should be darker, or is it just because you're trying to be within style?
Well, if you're doing stouts, you do want a little bit of that bitterness, that coffee note. But the darker you go, it starts getting astringent. So you're right here, and then it goes way up. The higher the lovey bond rating is. One of the first things I ever learned when I was making recipes is chocolate malt's a good example. You can get really dark colors from chocolate malt, but it will create some astringent, bitter flavors that just doesn't bode well for the taste of the beer. And when Todd, I think actually Todd was the one that found this malt that was debittered. That was huge because, like you said, with the alt beer, we use that debittered malt to get that copper color. You could do a blind taste test and you would not know the difference. So that's why I love using debittered malt for color, because it doesn't affect what you're trying to do structurally on the recipe and flavor.
This is sort of off topic. I forget, Carafa is the branded one, or is Carafa the? You know what I mean? There's some that are some call it crystal, some call it this. I forget if Carafa.
Crystal malt is the same thing as roasted malt, but I think Carafa is a brand.
It is a brand, right? No, I think you're right. I'm the one who. So thankfully, our warehouse, our shipping lead Tammy does the recipes now. What a saint. Thank you, Tammy. But there are times when a recipe that we're building, or an old homebrew supply one, would call for one, and I'd be like, freaking out to you. We don't have this. And you'd be like, oh, no, the exact substitute is this. That's just a brand name. Oh, okay. Thank God. Because I would be like, how do we have, you go upstairs and we got a gazillion grains still up there from the supply shop of I mean, just random specialty grains, right? We get fresh grains cycled through, but like of the super duper random ones, but it gets told me for the super duper random one, do I have to order a whole bag? Every kit only gets 1 ounce of it or whatever. And you'd be like, no, we already have it. It's this. No, that's not the same thing. You'd be like, dude, that's the substitute. I promise you. It's the exact same thing, just a different name. But yeah, the carafas, I didn't realize they were debittered. That's interesting. So it's just a color thing.
Yeah, I believe so. And I could be messing this up, but I believe it's the carafa.
No, hey man, you speak with confidence. That's all I care about. Todd, with recirculation, you know, I'm going to take the conversation just a little bit down a rabbit hole. I said it right that time. Is that one of the most important things you can think of in a system that people like? If they're choosing to brew, is that all grain batches? Is that something that should be on the forefront of the system they choose to brew with? Is recirculation that important because of the things that can change if you don't recirculate?
I don't know. I mean, I've had a lot of really. I mean, we've brewed really really good beer in coolers without recirculation, and you know, remember that wasn't it an ESP?
That's okay. Yes, sir. That
brewed, and it was so good, and it didn't have circulation. So I don't know that it's critical. I would say that it's more consistent. Like I like having pumps. I like having it circulate. To me, I think you get more consistency. So if you want to brew the same beer time after time, to me, I love having a pump. But I like brewing on the 3-tier system too. I mean, if I could see myself brewing on a cooler system again, though, if I wanted to do a smaller batch or something.
Yeah. And then one last thing Christian had brought up about having to change, obviously, from the counterflow to an immersion. I cannot think of that being a factor at all for the color, right, James? Like the way that you cool down your wort is not. But it did. I'm going to allow me to digress a little more before we go to the last question. It is getting so hot. I don't know what it is up there. Right now, it says it is 97, but the heat index is 104 here in San Marcos.
Yeah, I hiked yesterday afternoon. It was pretty warm.
Did you really? Yeah, yesterday was over 100, or the heat index was over 100 here. So I bet.
Yeah.
And it's so dry up there, too. Ugh.
Yeah.
But anyway, my pop and y'all tell me if you think this will work. I don't see why it wouldn't, but I want to run it through the brain trust here. To cool down, my water temp's going to be way higher than the ideal 79 or whatever we've been pitching at because we do pressure fermentation. Pre-chilling the water with an immersion chiller and a bucket of ice before it goes to our counterflow chiller. Does that make sense?
That's all I've ever done. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Duh, I've seen you. You've pre-chilled to another immersion chiller. That's right.
Yeah, I always pre-chill. I've never brewed. I don't think I've ever done it without pre-chilling.
This isn't an original idea, Dad. Sorry. I thought we were smart. I stole it from Todd Burns. You're right. Because it was actually my pop. Like, what we need to do as we brew in the summer, like this alt beer that we're brewing at the end of the month, very good chance it's going to be very hot. So we're going to take one of our immersion chillers and a bucket of ice, send the groundwater to it, get it all nice and cold, then send it over to the counterflow chiller that's going to then send the wort into our fermenter. But yeah, you're right, man. Here I was thinking like y'all be like, wow, Josh, y'all are great. Y'all been doing that. Never mind. All right. James, do you pre-chill as well when you brew in the summer at the headquarters?
No, I do it a little differently. We have that counterflow chiller that we got when we got the spike system. And so what I do is I just use the ambient temperature till it hits a certain degree. And I have that 10-gallon stock pot. So I've got it in there. I'll turn the circulation water off because, as y'all know, in the summer, it can hit 90 degrees. So you're defeating the purpose of the counterflow. If you've got cold ice on the counterflow and it's in cold ice water, but you've got 90-degree water inside that counterflow chiller, it's not doing a damn thing but melting the ice and keeping the beer warm. So what I do is I turn the water off, and then I use my HLT pump, and I'll recirculate the cold water inside the kettle that I have the chiller immersed in. I just drop the inlet in there and the outlet attached to the chiller, and I circulate ice water through the inside of that, and that'll get me that last 20 degrees that I need, and I only need to use like 20 pounds of ice.
Dang.
And in 3 days, Joe. No, next podcast in 2 weeks, I'm going to ask you to repeat that. What is the process that James uses to cool his wort in the summer?
Yeah. What is? I
But
can't
it works
remember.
good. I mean, the last batch I did, I got it all the way down. Wasn't paying attention. It was down to 65 degrees.
What?
So
Are you?
yeah.
And how long do you think?
What you and I think Todd, you kind of do the same thing, right? You do ambient temperature until it hits a certain, and then you add the ice, and then pre-fill it.
Yeah, so I do ambient temperature, but of course mine's coming from always coming from the hose, so I don't ever recirculate, but it's going through. I mean, I have an advantage in that I have an ice maker, so I have an unlimited supply of ice, right? So
Yeah.
I just keep throwing bags of ice in there, and I don't care how much I use, but it that could get expensive if you didn't have an
Sure. I
ice
mean,
maker.
Yes.
if we had an ice maker here, I would do the same thing. I mean, you could generally, if you had enough ice, kind of like what we did when we were brewing beer at Duster Brew House, we had cold well water and
Yep.
ice.
Oh,
If you
and
had an
my
ice
well
maker.
water is cold. That's the other advantage for me in the summer is, yes, I'm pulling water off the faucet, but if I've been running it a while and it's past the pressure tank, then it's cold.
Yeah. And then we were able to just go directly into the kettle and the fermenter straight off of hot water. So
Oh, wow.
it was nice, but it wasn't until that was because I didn't know anything back then. I thought that's how it always worked until I actually started brewing a lot and realized the tap water temperature is a huge difference in how quick you can get that cooled down. So that's the way it works good with the setup I have here, just pumping it back into the boil kettle, and it'll slowly start to get down to, I think when it stalls out around 95 degrees. And then I'll add my water, shut the outside water off, turn my pump on and recirculate through the inside of the chiller with ice cold water. And it won't be 10, 15 minutes and I'm back. I'm down to 70 degrees, which is what I shoot for on pressure fermentation.
Yeah.
Anything above that, I haven't had good luck with lager yeast.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, we haven't. I don't know what we did for lager. We've been for ale yeast, right? We've been trying to pitch around 77 to 79. I mean, at the highest events, if we can get to below 75 before we go in, that's what we want. But it is actually very impressive how great counterflow chillers are. When we started actually using that Grainfather one properly, it's like, oh my gosh, this was quick. Like, I mean, I say quick. Getting to temperature to go into the fermenter is relatively quick. Now we are sometimes at such a trickle's the wrong word, drip. We're at such a drip that it's like, okay, we're going to be here for 45 minutes as it goes into this thing, but still incredible inventions. Let me see.
I would tell you this, one of the best ones I've ever used. It had twice as much surface area as the one I'm using now. Blinkman has a product called the Terminator.
Oh yeah.
That thing is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what we were using. We were pumping hot wort, just shut it off through that straight into the fermenter cool. And it's an amazing product. The only drawback, my opinion, on the Terminator is because there's multiple stacked plates. You've got a thermal plate, and then you've got a water plate, and it looks like a metal brick about that big. Is if you ever get any hops or anything in it, it's super hard to clean. So what I would do is I'd flush it as good as I could, and then I would have it on the stovetop in the kitchen, boiling the whole day when we're cooking. When we're brewing beer.
Sanitize it
And
too.
that way, when we got ready, if there was any particulates in it, everything was sterilized because due to being on heat for 10 hours. And when we got ready to use it, gloves, hook it up because we had a bracket on our system. We'd snap it in place in the bracket, add the water lines, and it wouldn't take. We would run a little cold water through it first to cool it down, but it was amazing. I was always amazed at how efficient it was at dropping temperature.
What happened to your old system? I don't know if I've ever asked you that.
It's taken apart behind my house.
No kidding.
The fermenters in the brewery.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna brew on that bad boy sometime. Brew us.
Yeah.
How many is it? It's just unbelievable.
30
Yeah,
down,
we
right?
can do 45 gallons
45.
at one time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Big Bertha, as she is known. I didn't know. I had no idea because y'all were a collective of people. I didn't know if like, is it like a divorce? We're like, okay, Tom, you get this, and all right, I get weekend
No,
visitation.
In fact, where we were keeping it, a good friend of mine, Barry, he was like moving to Angelo, and he called me one day. He said, "You need to come get all this stuff. I've got to get it out of my way." Okay, so
You're like,
I
yes,
took it.
yeah. You're like, yes, sir. I'll be right there.
It's funny.
We do. We should do it. Maybe we just missed Big Brew Day. Maybe some. Yeah, if you can get it up and running, we should do like a big thing. Maybe Todd, when we officially launch some brewing thing up at the ranch, you know, the whole experience thing. How fun would that be to bring that out?
No, it would be.
That'd be.
I will tell you, it's way more fun on the brow top.
I believe
way
you.
more accurate. I mean, we did it for years on that, but the consistency was never really there. We could do like big brews and pretty much anything you want to do because we had the volume for it. But if you wanted to do like 45 gallons of pills, you know, you could do it with that. But I'm so used to brewing on the brow tag. I don't know. It'd be a
You don't want to go back. I get you.
curve to go back. Yeah.
Oh, I hear you, man. When we find what works for
and we
us,
need a cooler because I left the cooler at the ex-girlfriend's house. And
Well, go get it.
Yeah,
I'm
Go
gonna
get
go
it.
there and get it.
We're gonna do a video series of James getting his cooler back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm in on that.
The lid was busted anyway, so
That's how many quarts was the cooler that we would need?
it was one of those igloo. It was the largest igloo, and I can't remember whether it was 160 quarts or 180, but it was the biggest one we could find online.
Wow.
Okay, we're not doing it. You're
Wow.
right. That is so massive. Golly, I can't even fathom the grain bills y'all were doing for homebrewers. I'm saying, obviously, we visited enough craft breweries to, you know, I say that every time I walk into a new craft brewery that they let me, you know, if I'm interviewing them and they're giving me the tour, their mills and the rooms for all that, it never ceases to just blow my mind, like how much ingredients they go through on a brew day and
Oh right, yeah, absolutely.
how labor intensive commercial brewing is. Oh my God. No thanks. No thanks. I like getting my little scale out and just doing here. And yeah, life is good that way. But anyways, Christian, thank you so much for submitting that question. I know I digressed a little. Friends, again, if you got feedback or whatever, leave it on our YouTube video, or you can call it in to 325-305-6107. And if it's good enough to use on a future episode like Christian, you too will get a gift card to kegconnection.com. We've got one final question for this week, a text message from our buddy Russell. He wrote, "Hi, gang. Is it worth the money to get a stainless steel fermenter? I've gone from plastic buckets to the same plastic all-rounder Joshua showed on a Brew Day live stream. It appears to be working well. However, I'm concerned how long a plastic fermenter lasts. Are stainless fermenters basically forever? Any pros and cons you gentlemen can share comparing plastic to stainless would be great. Cheers." Russell, you know, I am the lone regular plastic user. I mean, James, you every now and then would use that all-rounder. And Todd, I don't know if you ever used the all-rounder you got. You got one.
I have, yeah.
Okay.
I've used it several times.
Right, so y'all are no...
I do L's in it.
Oh, really? Because less need for the immediate temperature change, like the glycol?
I just like doing lagers in the big one and letting it naturally cool and stay for a while. And I like the pain of it.
Okay.
I'm still not convinced of this new pressure fermented.
Yeah, well, I get it. Yeah, and technically, a lot of years, I mean, the way that you do it, you are not far from what we're doing. You just don't apply the pressure up front, and you're not trying to keep it in. But your fermentations get so vigorous and all that, by the time you do drop the temp, aren't you already starting to put pressure on it?
By the time I do, well, yeah, so when it's done fermenting and I drop the pressure, then
Or you drop the temperature. Yeah,
I mean, drop the temperature. Then I put pressure on it because I want to force. I mean, I want it to carbonate.
Right. Yeah, it
is technically force carbonating, I guess, but it's it's slow because I leave it on there for like 2 or 3 weeks and let it lager.
Oh, right. Yeah. But anyways,
so I'm yeah.
But exactly. So let me open it up by saying I am a man of frugal endeavors. I'm cheap. And the plastic one I just bought with my own money, by the way, with my own money. I didn't even seek.
Allegedly.
Normally I'm desperate and I'm hitting up people like, hey man, can I feature your product or this or that? But with my own money, because More Beer doesn't care about our podcast, I bought another all-rounder because my pop and I were convinced the first one that we've had for like 3.5 years, it gets scratched up. It may have been the cause of some of the recent kind of twanged we've been getting in some of our batches. And here's what really makes me think that, because the new batch of Kolsch that we did and the newer all-rounder is perfect.
Yeah.
It is absolute perfection. So anyway, it was $126 and I think free shipping on More Beer. That's not a special price or whatever. And then I bought stainless steel post for it. So because the all-rounder itself at 126 doesn't come with post, but it is a pressure rated vessel. So you got the post, and those were, I think, total on Amazon $15. And then I used a float it for the floating dip tube from Trong, which is a little overkill for a fermenter. You don't have to, and that price retails like $30. So if you do the math, I put I'll round up $180 total. What, James, do you think for a 15-gallon stainless steel conical fermenter, what's the lowest you could go and it be pressure capable?
Gosh, I would say $750.
Right? I was just say the same thing, and that's like lowest price. Most of them now, especially with the threat of tariffs, I've seen them.
You got this funding valve and all that to get with it.
Correct. Oh yeah, and you're right. I did. So Tron gave me another one, but I did buy the first funding valve. But his is overkill. You could buy that Kedland blow tie, and I think with the CM Becker disconnect, they're $30. I think retail. So you're right. $200 total for a functioning 15.9 gallon pressure capable fermenter, as opposed to on the lowest of ends, $750 probably. But with all that being said, that's my contribution to this question, because price is an absolute factor for cheap Josh over here, where even if
everybody, I would think,
even if I buy another all-rounder every 4 years, it's going to be a while before it adds up to one stainless. But with that being said, James, are stainless steel fermenters basically forever if you just take good care of them?
You maintain them correctly and keep them clean.
Maybe not forever, but at least a couple 100 years.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, keep the chlorine and salt off of it, and I think you're good to go.
Is that why Spike has one of their monikers? Buy once, cry once. Oh, that one too. You're right. That's the better moniker. Is your liver will fail before our gear does. That is my.
Yep, that's right.
But the other one that they always tell, because a lot of people have concerns. When we used to be a reseller of Spike and SS and all those, people would call and they'd say, "Man, it's just so much money." And Spike had this little thing that they had on their flyers or their banners. It was like, "Buy once, cry once," because the idea being you're gonna drop the $800 right now, but it's going to last you a while. You're going to take care of it and this and that, and whatever. Yep. So I understand that. Would you say, Todd, that the longevity is the greatest pro for stainless steel fermenters, or what else is it that would sell you on those over a cheap plastic one?
Yeah, I mean, longevity more than just like it'll last forever. It's just that the plastic ones, you can get scratches in them, and you have to do the hydro and all that. But I mean, just all in all, to me, stainless steel is, I mean, that's what all professionals would use. And it's, you just don't have any reactions. You don't have to worry about any kind of aftertaste. And I mean, to me, it's just the best material you can use. So.
And I guess
glass is also really good, but it breaks fairly easily.
I was gonna say not in the parameters I gave of pressure capable. Do not do glass, friends, at home.
Well, you said pressure capable, but I guess mine's pressure capable. My stainless, the pressure capable part.
Your CF15 is
capable, but not very. Maybe to what? I forgot what
James. What is yours
to go up to?
It's like
15.
It's this like 15, right?
I think is where the safety blow off's at.
Yeah.
Right. And James is under pressure at 10. I mean, that's what most people do. That's what I do. So yeah. And the setup that James has is how I'd have to do it. So I'd have to think to the retail for that CF15 with that spiked PRV. I mean, it's going to be up there, but yeah, again, the moniker buy once, try once. And I'd say in spite, they don't sponsor the show anymore before people accuse me. I've been getting a lot lately, people accusing me of just being an infomercial for various stains. CM Becker, well, duh, who do you think pays my bills? Duh. But also when I talk nice about brands, they're like, oh, how much are they paying you? I love Spite's money. Ben, if you hear me, give me some money, brother, please. I would love that. I don't know. I would shout out SS Brewtech if I knew who owned them. I have no idea who owns them. I beg more beer for money all the time. Doesn't work. Todd's out of here. But for the plastic versus stainless, this is also one. Instead of being an infomercial here, just let me be begging, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts below because I'm not like sold on Team Plastic more than just it's cheap. Like that's why I like it. It's been consistently good as a fermenter for my pop and I. And it's, relatively mobile the way we have it set up and this or that. And I don't cry like when the first one seemed to be deteriorating after 3.5, 4-ish years. Didn't bother me that much. Well, first off, because the first one Todd did buy me. So I didn't have any money invested in that first one. So, it's busted. Okay, whatever. But then when I bought another one, even after tax, 130, whatever, something dollars. Yeah, okay. That's not bad considering I'll probably get another 4 or 5 years out of it. Not too bad. But where did you run off to, boss man?
Somebody keeps calling over and over, and I guess they're on break out there. So
my bad.
Now they're calling my cell phone, so I don't know what's going on.
No, I can wrap this up if some people got to work for a living. I forgot.
No, it's fine. It was just kind of weird that the same person keeps calling over and over.
Yeah, and it's
not. Must be an emergency.
Must be an emergency if you got to
or not.
That wrapped up this question anyway. I'm confident that the better conversation will happen in our comments or future feedback because we covered it. Y'all, stainless is absolutely. I mean, to say worth it is so subjective. Todd and James would say, yes, it's worth it because look how long they've had it. There's no end in sight. Y'all take good care of the equipment and you're producing really good beer. Me, if you're like super duper cheapo like me, worth it is so like, oh God, I don't know. But if I had bought it up front, I'd probably be very happy with it because it's so, and some of those conicals from Blickman and SS and specifically Spike are so future proof of what you would possibly want out of one. If you know you're going to do pressure fermentation, all that, make sure you did a pressure rated one and all that. If you don't care, you might be able to save some money and you could start, if you're doing 5-gallon batches, you could get the SS, is it the brew bucket? What is it called, James? You've had one. The brew bucket, right? The stainless steel one from SS.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Yeah. Which again, let me just say this very strongly, guys. That is not pressure capable. But if you want to,
it's got wire.
It got wire.
Bale wire.
But if you want to get a taste, or hell, ferment in a keg. If you want to get a taste of stainless steel fermentation and what that's like, you could get away, kegconnection.com. I'll put it in the show notes, that lid accessory thing for people who want to either pressure ferment or just normal ferment or whatever. There's various lids for that solution. You could always get a taste of that as well. It just depends on what size you're doing. The conical part of it, if you're trying to capture yeast and all that, having a dump valve is absolutely beneficial. And it streamlines that. But if you're just brewing and you don't care about stuff like that, try fermenting in a keg. Maybe you'll be like, wow, this is great. I'm going to try that. Maybe it is worth getting a bigger thing with the bells and whistles. So you can dip your toes into the stainless world. Or do what I did, just get a cheap plastic one. And if you have to replace it every 5 years, okay, cool. Get Todd's credit card and swipe. Sometimes it gets paid. Sometimes it doesn't. Doesn't affect me. But Russell, thank you so much for submitting that. My friends, Todd, James, thank you all so much for your time. I appreciate it. That's all I have for this week. Todd, make sure that person's call is not an emergency. And I'll see y'all soon.
All right. Thanks. Have a good day.
Y'all,
Bye-bye.
likewise, and that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, call it in to 325-305-6107. Leave a voicemail after the beep. Get yourself a gift card to kegconnection.com. Thank you to our show sponsors like Muntins Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Muntins, what's wrong with you? No, I'm kidding. Go over to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and join the Trub Club at a recipe receiving level for the best hops available online. Give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of premium Imperial yeast along with delicious recipes when you join the Trub Club. I already said the URL, but you need to hear it again. Patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.